One globe, 7 continents, 195 countries. Recipes more than probably the number of atoms in the universe. A myriad of languages, cultures, and food. Welcome to Across the Globe. In this series, I will explore what I like best food, and I want all of you to come across the globe with me. North Macedonia is a tiny country in Europe which has a current population of 2 million people. I know, a super small country that can be barely spotted on the map, but it actually used to be the greatest empire that the world had ever seen. In fact, remember Alexander the Great and his huge empire that stretched all the way from Europe to Asia? Yeah, that was actually the Kingdom of Macedonia. As much as I want to talk about Macedonian food, there are just so many interesting things about Macedonia I want to cover too. So let me just quickly say a really cool thing and then we'll talk food, okay? So apparently, Macedonia being a country itself has another country that lies within its borders. It's called Vevchani. I hope I pronounced that right. It's a small village located around the hills in the north of Ohrid Lake and has declared itself the independent Republic of Vevchani, and it even has its own passports and currency. And also, I don't know if this is true, but if you're there and if you drink enough Vevchani wine, then you can also become an honorary citizen of the Republic of Vevchani. Oh, and also the Ohrid Lake is the oldest and one of the deepest lakes in Europe, which has around 200 different species of fishes which cannot be found in any other places in the world, which is why Ohrid Lake is a World Heritage Site as declared by UNESCO in 1979. I don't know about you, but I just have a very, very magical feeling about Macedonia. Its name, its history, there's just something so rich and so royal and just so magical about it. Sarma. It is a traditional Macedonian food, which is something that is eaten throughout Middle East, South Caucasus, Balkans, and Central Asia. Each region having its own way to eat it. Some use vine leaves, cabbage, kale, or chard leaves, and then stuff it with a grain like rice and any protein filling, which is usually meat. In Macedonia, it is made with cabbage leaves, which can be pickled or boiled, then filled with minced meat and rice. Then it is rolled into small little rolls, assembled together in a baking dish, filled with hot water till the sarma is covered and then baked in the oven at a high for around 1.5-2 hours. I made a soy mince with soy chunks and added some rice and filled my boiled cabbage leaves in it.
That's all I want, 'cause all I want is you, is you. It takes two, 'cause all I want is you, is you.
Not gonna lie, this took me a long time to make, so I was basically starving by the time it came out of the oven. I put some ajwar I made in the morning on top of it for some extra flavor and then had it. Can you tell I was actually really nervous because I hadn't had anything remotely similar to this before, and well, it was actually very different. It took me a few moments to get used to the texture and the taste, but yeah, in the end, I ended up enjoying it. Taiwan, or should I say Republic of China? Honestly, this whole situation confused me, and maybe one of you all can help me understand better, but I'll just tell you what I gathered from Google. So apparently there are two Chinas, as in there's China, which is one, and it is divided into two parts, namely People's Republic of China and Republic of China. So People's Republic of China is PRC, which consists of mainland China, Hong Kong and Macau, and ROC, or Republic of China, administers Taiwan, and both of them are two parts which do not officially recognize each other's sovereignty. PRC considers ROC as an illegitimate child of China and thus portrays Taiwan as a rogue province of PRC. Like, PRC believes that it itself is China, like the sole owner of China. I don't know what I'm saying. So Taiwan is sort of a separate country from China if you consider geography, but they're kind of the same too. Like, it's confusing, okay? And I know I probably just sounded super dumb while I explained all this, so I'm just gonna stop now. The reason I filmed this video in the first place was because I wanted to make boba. Literally everyone on Instagram is making it, and that too, making the process of making it look so easy, but in reality I would say it's so difficult compared to what you see. So I sieved some tapioca flour and then added some cocoa powder to it. Then I boiled some sugar and some water and combined the dissolved sugar water into my tapioca flour mix. Then I combined it with some cornstarch, and while I was doing that I realized I had done something seriously wrong, because no matter how much starch I was adding, it just wasn't forming into a dough like it was supposed to, and I was honestly convinced that all the work had just gone to waste. But I still decided to just boil the weird looking pieces of supposedly boba, and surprisingly they were rising to the top like boba pearls are supposed to. I tasted the boba pearls by themselves, and low-key I was expecting the worst, but they actually tasted really good, like squishy sweet things, and especially with the tea, the flavor was pretty good. Yeah, not perfect, literally not even close to average, but yeah, edible and kinda good to me. Besides bubble tea, which we just made earlier, gua bao is probably the most famous street snack known outside of Taiwan. What is it? So bao is basically a steamed bun which is made out of flour, yeast, water, oil and sugar. It is all mixed together and the dough is kneaded and then set aside to rise. When it has risen, circles are made out of the dough and then brushed with some oil and steamed. Now that is the bao, but what about the filling? So traditionally a gua bao is filled with pork, which is why it is also called pork belly bun or pork belly buns. But if you all have forgotten, let me remind you, I am a vegetarian, so of course I needed a substitute, and I used mushrooms, and I just simply sauteed some mushrooms. It was like really easy to make, with some soy sauce and some honey and just some spices. And then I just assembled everything. I took a bao, added my filling, and then topped with some chili garlic sauce. And can we just talk about how fluffy and soft these babies look? Wow.
I don't think I'll feel it when I hit the ground.
I don't think I mentioned this earlier, but I just want to give a big shout out to Chef George. Again, I hope I said his name right. He is a Taiwanese chef who I found on Instagram, and almost all of these Taiwanese dishes I made were heavily inspired by his recipes. For dinner, I combined 2 of his tofu recipes. One was fried tofu and the other was 3-cup tofu. By the way, just so you know, this was my first time frying anything, like, I don't know, just oil on stove, and frying in general used to seem really scary to me, but now that I've done it for Taiwan, I'm not scared anymore.
Just know that you won't never have to wonder.
I also made a spicy salad out of cucumbers, carrots and cabbage with a chili, soy saucy, vinegary sauce. This meal was low-key so perfect after a heavy day of cooking. So delicious. The Netherlands. In the first episode of Across the Globe, I gave out some interesting facts about South Korea. So in this episode, the second one, I'm gonna tell you some fun facts about the Netherlands. The Netherlands is one of the most densely populated countries in Europe because of its small size, and Dutch people are actually the tallest people in the world. The average height of Dutch men is 6 feet, while that of Dutch women is 5'7". This is extra interesting to me because I am 5'9" and I like tall people, so I don't know where I was going with this. I don't know. The Netherlands was the first country to legalize same-sex marriage in 2001. In fact, Amsterdam itself is known to be very, very LGBT friendly with many gay bars and the Homo Monument in the center of the city as a tribute to the lives of gay men and women. I love this. I mean, this explains why the Netherlands is one of the happiest countries in the whole world according to the UN World Happiness Report. Carrots are orange because of the Dutch people. So originally they were most likely white or purple, but when William III of England, who was often known as William the Orange, helped get the Dutch independence, the farmers, as a tribute to him, turned these carrots orange, and now orange is even the official color of the Netherlands. Speaking of King William, he was the one who turned the image of gin, which was originally used for medicinal purposes, into one of gin as an alcoholic fashionable drink. There are over 18 million bikes in Netherlands when the population itself is 17 million. So yeah, more bikes than the number of people. This is because bicycles are the #1 mode of transportation there, and Dutch people cycle 2.5 kilometers daily on an average and 900 kilometers a year. So pollution decrease, endorphins increase, happiness increase. Makes all sense.
Why you don't really need
I wanted to try out some African food, and there are 54 countries in Africa to choose from, so I decided to go with the northmost African country called Tunisia. Tunisia is one of the most liberal countries in Africa as far as women's rights are concerned. Women are allowed to pass nationality and their family names onto their children and are also allowed to equally inherit property from their parents. I know, not related to this video, but something I just found worth mentioning. For breakfast, I made Tunisian farka, which is also referred to as a breakfast pasta from North Africa. Traditionally, farka is cooked with couscous, but coarse grains like semolina, broken wheat, and bulgur can also be used. I made it with broken wheat and served with some fruit. I used mango, peaches, and falsa, and also some saffron honey. The flavor of this tasted very, very Indian to me, which makes sense because of the ingredients used. Really good. Tabouna is a traditional Tunisian bread baked along the walls of a traditional terracotta oven called tabouna. It is made from flour and is round and flat. I used some all-purpose flour, some semolina flour, oil, water, and yeast to make a dough and then set it aside while I made my shakshuka. Yes, I said shakshuka and not shakshuka. I fried some onion, garlic and tomatoes in some olive oil and then seasoned it with some salt, pepper, cumin and paprika. Then I added my peppers, all green, red and yellow, mixed it really well and then added some ketchup because I didn't have tomato paste. I covered it with a lid and then went on to make my vegan egg. Yes, I made it because even though I eat eggs sometimes, I am not particularly fond of its flavor, and anyways, I try to keep maximum of my meals plant-based, so this was a great opportunity to try something new. This literally looked and smelled like Eggs Benedict, and then garnished with some spring onions and pepper.
She's a Mona Lisa. Everyone's lining up to see.
I then baked my tabouna bread in the oven. Yes, I forgot to poke holes. Yes, I took it out midway, and yes.
Everyone's lining up to see her.
Okay, can we please acknowledge the beauty of this pan? Like, oh my god, that just looks really, really good. And the eggs look like real eggs. This was just so good. I can't even explain it to you how good this was. Perfect sweetness from the tomatoes and ketchup, spicy from paprika and peppers, balanced from eggs. Like, it was mind-blowing.
She's lights, yeah, I wonder what she hides under her disguise. Yeah. And all the girls around.
Oh, and yeah, I also made a tabouna shakshuka pizza. Lablabi. The name, it's like jalebi. Lablabi is a very, very simple chickpea soup made of garlic, chili, cumin, salt, pepper and chickpeas along with the liquid in which chickpeas are boiled, and that is literally it. Pour it on top of some bread. Since I already made the tabouna bread, which I know doesn't even look like how it did on the internet, I used that on the base and then poured my hot soup on top of it. I also made some pizzas on the tabouna basis, so I also had one of those. So that was it for this video. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you soon on episode 3 of Across the Globe. Bye!